Have you ever noticed those signs on telephone poles that say, we'll buy your property, any condition, cash offers? Ever wonder how it works? Maybe you're considering contacting them in 2025. Stay tuned. You'll be surprised how that process works. Let's get right into it. I'm sure you guys know I'm a real estate agent here in the tri-state area, and I actually partner up with a lot of these organizations and investors. How that entire process works is pretty simple. Do you know what Kelley Blue Book is? I'm sure you do. You go on the website, you put in your VIN number for your vehicle, it gives you an idea of its value, and it'll give you a cash offer. These programs are very, very similar. The ideal client or customer that these organizations and investors typically target are distressed properties. What do I mean by distressed properties? Distressed properties are properties that need significant upgrades, might have structural issues, might have environmental issues, might have a driveway issue. The client might have an issue with making payments to the mortgage, right? That the property needs upgrades or they're behind on payments. Now, does it make sense to contact these people if those are some of the situations that you're running into? Well, let's kind of get into that now. On average, most of these organizations will only offer you anywhere from 50 to 70% of its value. Think about that for a second. Anywhere from 50 to 70 cents on the dollar for that specific property. And you might be wondering, hey, why would anyone do that, right? It doesn't make sense. And that's a great question. But if you think about it, these organizations are in business to make a profit. They have to make a return on their money. They're putting out a tremendous amount of capital in order to make a profit. Now, when does it make sense to call these people, right? When does it make sense to reach out to one of these companies and say, hey, I want to get out of my property now. I want to close in a couple weeks. I don't want any issues with the closing. I just want my money now. Great question. You'll typically go in that direction if the property is significantly difficult to sell in the open market, in the sense of it has a lot of issues. Mold, needs a new roof, upgraded, kitchen needs to be done, bathrooms, everything. I'm talking about everything, including structural and environmental. What I mean by structural and environmental is structural will be the foundation of the house. Let's say there's a lot of cracks in the foundation. A traditional mortgage is not going to allow it to go through because the new buyer can't close with those issues and the seller can't give a credit to the buyer for those issues to be fixed after closing. That's when you want to consider reaching out to these folks. If you're behind on payments, okay, you might want to consider reaching out to them. Maybe you don't have that much equity in the property. You're only going to walk away with $20,000, right? That's when you start to wonder, does it make sense to reach out to these folks to see what kind of offers you're going to get? By the way, typically what I recommend is do due diligence beforehand. Do your research, make some phone calls. It's free. Call your local real estate agent. They're able to run some numbers, which are called CMAs, on your current property to determine its value and its present condition. See what that number is, because you have to consider what's going on right now in the market. The last 2 weeks, we had a rate cut. So interest rates came down. Demand is super high. Supply is limited. So selling retail might make sense for you versus going with an investor or a cash offer, because you'll get a little more money for your property. Now, you might be wondering, hey, maybe the buyers are going to try to beat up the inspection, ask for more credits off. Yes, that could happen, but you can still position the sale of the house as an as-is deal. As-is the buyer assumes liability. The only issue you'll run into when it comes to that structure of selling a property is the environmental issue and the structural issue. Basically, if there's an oil tank, God forbid, or contamination of soil, there's cracks in the foundation, things like that. But if you go retail, you can keep yourself a little higher on price to give a buffer or credit back to the buyer to get the deal closed. So like I said, there's nothing wrong with going on the cash side, but you got to take into consideration what's happening across the country now. What is the market currently doing? What is the foreseeable future in the next 6 to 12 months? What's your current situation? Can you continue the payments? There's a lot of moving pieces here, guys. I don't like to see people go that direction and leave too much money on the table, because what ends up happening is you might kick yourself in the butt later and say, hey, I should have waited, or hey, I should have sold it on the market and waited for that right offer to come in that made sense for us to go with. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I'm just trying to make sure you understand how this whole process works. Do your due diligence beforehand. Let me know what you think in the comments. Until then, guys, good luck, be safe, God bless, and take care.